He was stealing from the set, and Clint Eastwood knew. It was 1985, Pale Rider, shooting in the mountains outside Sun Valley, Idaho. Big production, 100-person crew, millions of dollars in equipment, props, costumes, period pieces from the 1850s, everything logged, everything tracked, every item cataloged and insured. Things were going missing. Small things at first. A prop revolver from the gun rack, some period coins that were supposed to be in a saloon scene, a leather saddlebag, a brass compass. Nothing major, but enough that the production manager noticed, enough that inventory wasn't matching the logs. He told Clint they were 3 weeks into shooting, 6 weeks left to go. Missing items meant delays, meant reshooting scenes when props weren't available, meant insurance claims, meant someone on the crew was stealing, and that meant everyone was a suspect until they found out who. The crew knew something was wrong, could feel it. The production manager walking around with a clipboard more than usual, checking things, recounting, asking questions. Where did this go? Who had this last? Have you seen this item? Tension building, people getting nervous. Nobody wanted to be accused of stealing. Nobody wanted to be the one who got blamed. Clint didn't make an announcement, didn't call a meeting, didn't gather everyone and make threats about what happens to thieves in this industry. Just told the production manager to keep watching, to figure out who it was, quietly, carefully. "You want me to call security, set up cameras?" the production manager asked. "No," Clint said. "Just watch. Someone's desperate enough to steal from a film set. I want to know why before I decide what to do about it." 2 days later, they knew. A kid, 22 years old, props assistant. Name was Michael Torres. First big film, first real paycheck. He'd been working in student films before this, living in his car sometimes, eating ramen, trying to break in. The production manager had watched him, saw him putting something in his jacket, then his truck, followed him after work, watched him go to a pawn shop in town, sell a brass compass, walk out with cash. "I've got him," the production manager told Clint. "Video from the parking lot, receipt from the pawn shop. It's him." Clint looked at the evidence, the grainy video of a young man walking to his truck, looking around, making sure no one was watching. The pawn shop receipt, Michael Torres, $45 for an antique compass worth $300. The production manager wanted to fire him immediately, call the police, press charges, make an example. That's how Hollywood worked. You steal, you're done, blacklisted. Your career over before it started. Your name passed around to every production manager in town. Good luck ever working again. Clint said no. Said to bring the kid to his trailer, tomorrow, 8 a.m. Don't tell him why. Don't let him know we know. Just tell him Clint wants to see him. Michael Torres showed up at Clint's trailer not knowing what was happening. Thought maybe he was getting promoted or getting notes on a scene. He'd been working hard, showing up early, staying late, doing everything he was supposed to do. Except stealing, which he was also doing. He knocked on the door. Clint's voice from inside. "Come in." Michael opened the door. Clint was sitting at the small table, coffee in front of him. The trailer was sparse. No decorations, no photos, just a workspace. "Sit down," Clint said. Michael sat. Clint didn't look at him right away, just took a sip of coffee. Let the silence sit there, heavy. Then he spoke. "You've been stealing from us." Michael's face went white. His hands started shaking. He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Clint waited, still not looking at him, just sitting there, calm. Michael started, stopped. "I didn't." "Don't lie," Clint said. His voice wasn't angry, wasn't loud, just flat, stating a fact. "We know. We've been watching. We know what you took. We know where you sold it. We have receipts from the pawn shop with your signature." Michael put his head in his hands. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." "That doesn't answer my question." Michael looked up. "I didn't ask a question." Clint finally looked at him, made eye contact. "Why are you stealing?" Michael's eyes filled with tears. He looked away, at the floor, at the wall, anywhere but at Clint. "My mom," he said quietly. "She's sick. Cancer. Stage 4. We don't have insurance. The treatments..." His voice broke. "They cost more than I make in a year. I was trying to help. I know that's not an excuse. I know it was wrong. but I didn't know what else to do. Clint sat there, didn't say anything, just let Michael sit with what he'd said, let it hang in the air. "How much do you need?" Clint asked. "What?" "For your mom, the treatments. How much?" I don't understand." Answer the question. Michael wiped his face. 20,000, maybe more. It depends on how she responds, but the first round is 20. Clint nodded, took another sip of coffee, set the cup down. "Here's what's going to happen," he said. His voice was still calm, still even. "I'm going to advance you $20,000. It comes out of my personal account, not the production budget. You don't owe the film anything. You owe me." Michael couldn't speak, just stared. "You'll pay it back over the next 2 years, interest-free. We'll set up a payment plan, automatic deduction from whatever you're earning. If you're not working, payments pause. When you work again, they resume." Clint leaned forward slightly. "But here's the deal. You ask next time. If you need help, you come to me. You tell me what's happening. You don't steal, you don't lie, you don't make me find out from a pawn shop receipt. You understand?" Michael nodded, couldn't form words. "If you steal again," Clint continued, "you're done. Not just from this film, from the industry. I'll make sure of it. Not because I'm cruel, because you'll have proven you can't be trusted. And trust is the only thing that matters on a set. You understand that?" "Yes," Michael whispered. "Good. Now get back to work. And don't tell anyone about this conversation. What happens in this trailer stays in this trailer." Michael stood, walked to the door, hand on the knob, stopped. "Why?" he asked, not turning around, just standing there. "Why what?" "Why are you helping me? You could fire me. You should fire me. Everyone would understand." Clint was quiet for a moment. "Because everyone makes mistakes, but not everyone deserves to have their life destroyed because of one. You made a bad choice, but you had a reason, a good reason. That doesn't make it right, but it makes it understandable. So I'm giving you a chance. Don't waste it." Michael left, didn't say anything else, couldn't trust his voice. Walked out of the trailer into the cold Idaho morning. The sun was just coming up over the mountains. The set was empty. Crew hadn't arrived yet. He sat on an equipment crate, put his head in his hands, started crying. Not quiet crying, full body sobs. The kind that come when you have been holding everything in for months, and suddenly the dam breaks. He'd thought he was done. Thought his career was over before it started. Thought he'd have to explain to his mom why he got fired, why he couldn't help her, why he'd thrown everything away. Instead, Clint Eastwood had given him money, had given him a second chance, had treated him like a human being instead of a criminal. The money showed up in his account 2 days later, $20,000 exactly, with a note from the production accountant, per Clint's instruction, repayment terms attached. The terms were simple, fair, manageable. No interest, no penalties, just pay it back when you can. Michael called his mom that night, told her he had the money for treatment. Didn't tell her where it came from. Couldn't. Clint had said to keep it private, so he did. Just told her a friend helped, that everything was going to be okay. She cried. "Michael, you didn't do anything illegal, did you?" "No, Mom, I promise. Someone just believed in me when I needed it most." Michael used the money for her treatment. First round of chemo. The hospital required payment up front. He wired it the next day. Then radiation, then more chemo. The doctors were cautiously optimistic. The treatments were working. Not perfectly, but enough. Better than they'd hoped. She went into remission 6 months later. Weak, exhausted, but alive. The cancer was gone. For now. Michael worked harder than anyone on that set for the remaining 6 weeks of Pale Rider. First one there every morning, last to leave every night. Never complained, never slacked, never took a break longer than he needed. The other crew members noticed, asked him what was going on, why he was working like this. He just said he wanted to prove himself, wanted to show Clint he deserved to be there. They didn't understand, didn't need to. Clint noticed, but didn't say anything. Just nodded when he saw Michael. Small acknowledgement. Once he said, "Good work today." That was it. That was all. But Michael heard everything that wasn't said in those 3 words. "I see you. I see what you're doing. Keep going." The film wrapped, Michael moved to the next job, then the next. Started paying back the loan, $200 a month, sometimes more when he was working steady, sometimes nothing when he wasn't. But he never forgot, never stopped trying. 5 years later, he was a production designer. 10 years later, he was working on major films. 15 years later, he was nominated for an Oscar. He didn't win, but during the ceremony, when they showed his clip, he was working on a Clint Eastwood film, Mystic River. Clint directing, Michael designing. The camera caught them on set. Clint saying something, Michael nodding, both of them looking at a location, working together. In interviews after, people asked Michael how he got started, how he worked his way up, what the turning point was. He always told the same story, about being 22, about stealing from a set, about getting caught, about expecting to be fired and blacklisted, about Clint Eastwood doing something he never expected. "He gave me a second chance," Michael would say. "But more than that, he gave me a framework. He showed me that asking for help isn't weakness, that everyone struggles, but how you handle your struggles defines you. I was handling mine badly. He showed me a better way." Did you ever pay him back? Every dollar. Took me 4 years, but I paid every dollar, with a thank you note when I made the final payment. What did he say? Nothing. Clint doesn't need thank yous. He just nodded next time I saw him on set. That was enough. Years later, a journalist asked Clint about it, about helping a crew member who'd been stealing, about giving him money instead of firing him. Clint was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "People make mistakes, especially when they're desperate, especially when they're young. I could have destroyed that kid, fired him, pressed charges, made sure he never worked again. Would have been easy, would have been justified. But that's not how you build people. That's how you break them." He made a mistake, but he had a reason. And when I asked him about it, he told me the truth. Didn't make excuses, didn't blame anyone else, just told me what was happening. That's character. That's worth saving. Do you always give people second chances? No, only when they've earned it. This kid earned it, not because he stole, but because when he got caught, he owned it. And then he spent the next 15 years proving I was right to trust him. That's rare. Most people would have taken the money and disappeared. He didn't. He paid every dollar back, and he became one of the best production designers in the industry. That's not my doing. That's his. I just didn't get in his way. The story became legend in Hollywood, not because it was public, but because Michael told it. Told it to other young crew members. Told it when he was teaching film students. Told it to anyone who asked how to handle mistakes. "You own them," he'd say. "You don't make excuses. You don't hide. You own them. And if you're lucky, someone will give you a chance to make it right. But you have to earn that chance, and you have to take it seriously." In 2019, Michael got his Oscar. Production design for a period film. Big sweep. Everything perfectly researched, every detail authentic. In his speech, he thanked his team, his family, his mentors. And then he said something that made people pay attention. 34 years ago, I made a mistake that should have ended my career before it started. Someone gave me a second chance instead. They didn't have to. I didn't deserve it. But they saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, and they gave me the opportunity to prove them right. This Oscar isn't just mine. It belongs to everyone who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. He didn't name Clint. Didn't have to. Everyone who knew, knew. Clint was in the audience, sitting in the back. Not nominated, not working on that film. Just there as a guest. When Michael said those words, Clint nodded once. Small movement, easy to miss. But Michael saw it, looked right at him, nodded back. That's the story of the time Clint Eastwood caught someone stealing from his set. Not a story about punishment, not a story about rules and consequences. A story about recognizing the difference between a bad person and a good person making a bad choice. A story about understanding that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is choose mercy over justice. A story about a young man who made a mistake and spent the rest of his life proving he was worth the second chance he got. And a story about Clint Eastwood, who understood something that most people in power don't: that real authority isn't about punishing people who break the rules. It's about knowing when breaking the rules is the right thing to do.